A library committee for the Mat-Su Borough School District has voted to remove 4 books from school libraries. The committee, which consists of 11 members, is recommending the removal of It's Perfectly Normal by Robbie Harris and The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison from all Mat-Su school libraries. It recommended the removal of The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold from all middle school libraries and the graphic novel Drama by Raina Telgemeier from all elementary schools. The committee is reviewing at least 4 books per month as they work through a list of 56 challenge books.
Dale Jackson here for Yellowhammer Now, and we've got to talk about a story that the Alabama media is not really covering yet. It's a story about a particular book that has been brought to the attention of the Fairhope Public Library and the Fairhope City Council. But the story isn't really about that book. It never is actually about the book. It's about how some of the media will react to that book. And it's very unfortunate because the dishonesty here is really part of the problem. Also, the failure of anyone in the media who tells you it's wrong to ban books to actually talk about and defend the book. I want to see people actually defend this. So I'm going to do something that nobody else will do. I'm going to show you the pages. I'm going to show you the photos. I'm going to show you the actual problems here and let you know that this is a real issue. Well, I'm also going to show you some of the frauds who can't do that kind of stuff, who won't do that kind of stuff, but they will attack the people who dare raise the issue. They won't defend the books. They'll attack the people asking about them. And one of these guys is a professor visiting Jacksonville State University because he didn't have a real job. So he's visiting there after failing as a journalist, Tim Lockett. We'll talk about that in a second. You'll also notice I've had to go to other states in order to find videos of this stuff even being talked about. But it's important, so let's go ahead and get right to it. This, I believe, is St. Louis. Could be wrong about that. The first one was from Alaska. This one, I believe, is from Missouri. But again, could be wrong about that. Let's roll it and see.
Jeff, an update tonight on a story we told you about last week after parents say they found sexually explicit books in their middle school.
Lexington City Schools removed the books titled It's Perfectly Normal by Robbie Harris and Kiss Number 8 by Colleen Venable from Lilburn Downing Middle School.
10 News reporter Abby Coleman is live tonight. And Abby, as you have found out, this issue is bigger than just these 2 book titles, isn't it?
Former Delegate Tim Anderson says this is much bigger than just books. Anderson introduced legislation to the General Assembly last session that would require school librarians to catalog books with explicit content. He tells me he read 7 books questioned by parents out loud on the House floor. That was so graphic, minors were asked to leave.
Very interesting. Show the books. Talk about what's in them. Probably not going to happen here.
Anderson says it should be left up to parents.
I can opt my kids out of graphic sexual content in the classroom. Why am I not allowed to opt my child out from graphic sexual content in the library?
One group is advocating for the freedom to read. Casey Meehan with PEN America says she sees an overwhelming majority of the books being banned containing LGBTQ+ themes or themes of race and books educating on violence or sexual abuse.
Students should have the right to see themselves represented in literature. Students should be able to see other identities reflected in literature. And
then defend the books. Talk about each one of them. Talk about It's Perfectly Normal. That's the one we're going to talk about here today. And instead, we're going to hear that it's only happening because of the identity of the people in the stories. Well, I'm going to prove that wrong too. Because the book I'm going to tell you about is going to have plenty of heterosexual sex in it as well. So that story is going to make absolutely no sense the way they're telling it. It all starts with 1819 News' coverage of a story out of the Fairhope Library. A woman who is a private investigator found these books, found a book, It's Perfectly Normal, in the Fairhope Library and turned it over to the FBI because it has child pornography in it. Hard to argue once you see the photos. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that's in there. Again, this is not normally done, and you're going to find out why it's not normally done. Take a look at some of this stuff. This is a book that is allegedly for 10-year-olds. This is happening in the pages of that book. And you can read the words on there if you want. I'm not going to do that for you. Just look at the pictures. Don't avert your eyes. Don't say it's not there. It's perfectly normal, they say. No. Keep going. It's perfectly normal, they say. Look directly at it. This is a book for 10-year-olds. I would like to direct you to the photo in the left-hand corner of the screen. Take a look at that. 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds. What kind of perverts and degenerates would support this kind of stuff for 10-year-olds? Well, a lot of people in the media, apparently. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They aren't really speaking out about it, are they? Don't really hear much of that. 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds. Now, why is it that they don't really want to talk about this? Why is it that they don't want to have this conversation? Why is it that this is disinterested? Why are they so disinterested in this? And when they do talk about it, they never want to talk about the actual issues. I keep saying this, and I've said this 1,000 times. They never want to talk about the actual issue. Instead, we're constantly having conversations about book banning and all this other stuff. It's never about what it should be about, defending the books. Now, Tim Lockett, formerly of the Anniston Star, now of Jacksonville State University, pronouns in his bio, journalism professor. This is his response to this story from 1819 News. It is to go find a news story of the woman who raised the issue and point out that she had been fired from her previous job for not getting vaccinated for COVID. She got fired from her previous job because she didn't get vaccinated for COVID, and that somehow disqualifies her from raising this issue. Now, what is her crime? Petitioning her government. You know, that's the other part of the First Amendment, Tim. And Tim's a coward. And make no mistake about it. He is a coward. He cannot address the book, It's Perfectly Normal. He can't tell you why that's okay for a 10-year-old. He can't tell you why that's okay for a 10-year-old. He can't tell you why that's okay for a 10-year-old. And he can't tell you why that's okay for a 10-year-old. But he can tell you that the person raising the issue is raising the issue because of COVID or something. Taxpayer dollars are paying this person to teach journalism. Taxpayer dollars are paying this person to teach journalism. Just think about it. Can't hack it in the real world. Not doing that job anymore. And now he's the guy out there teaching prospective journalists how to do it. And you're paying for it. So maybe the biggest issue here isn't the books in the school. And maybe it's that guys like him are teaching the future of journalism in this state to suck and be terrible. That's basically what's happening here. I challenge Tim Lockett to come on to one of my radio shows or a web stream or anywhere else and defend the book It's Perfectly Normal for 10-year-olds. Defend it being in a public library for kids. Defend the book at all for kids. He can't do it. He won't do it. He'll never be asked to do it. That's the world in which they live in. And it's unfortunate because these are the people molding the minds of future journalists. And they wonder why they have a trust problem in their profession. the reason why they have that problem, and I'll spell it out for Tim because I know he can't dig and think about this kind of stuff, is because of people like you, Tim Lockett. People who smear people for asking legitimate questions. Instead of addressing and finding the answers to the legitimate questions, you smear them. You act like they shouldn't ask them. You try to shut them up. Okay? I don't want Tim Lockett to shut up. I want him to talk more and more every single day. Because nothing shows his worldview is out of touch with normal Alabamians and people in general than the fact that he is actually afraid to say what he means. He wants these books available for kids. That's what he wants. But he can't say it. So he attacks the people who say they shouldn't be available. Because he's a coward. He's not the only one. He's just an avatar in this situation for most of the other cowards who wouldn't dare defend this stuff in their own name.